What's going on, guys? Matt Manduke here, and I'm at the Redwood National Forest, and that's what they are, and well, it's a national park, and it's also a state park in California, and I've been a couple days in California. Uh, Most recently, you watched me fly the drone on my way here, which was actually pretty interesting on 299 California, and I've been enjoying my time here, though my mind's not all gung ho like I usually am when I'm at a place like this, which is weird because it's a place that I've always wanted to see. But right now I'm picking out a trail, and I'll let you know what trail I pick out as soon as I figure out what trail I'm doing, and that's going to be what you're watching. So you clicked on this to watch that, right? So there was a tree that had a lot of people around it that said it was 1,500 years old, but it had a lot of people around it, so I skipped over it. And I followed the path that said even bigger trees, and that's where I'm at now, which is apparently the Cathedral Trees Trail, and as I already know, and you probably do as well, there are no pictures or video that can do these trees any justice. Is you don't get, it doesn't show how, like, you don't get the same perspective. And no, I have never seen trees this big, and I've always kind of wanted to, and the pictures and videos that you see of it does make you want to see it, but I still encourage everyone to see it for themselves, because I could take similar shots in any forest and you would get a very similar view. They've made a thing to walk under from fallen trees. Perhaps the trees have done this on their own. I don't know. It seems like it fell and they just cut out pieces so that you could get through it, because some of them are, well, they're impressive in their height, but they're equally as impressive in their width. This park is a little different from other national parks in that I didn't have to pay to get in. And while I wouldn't have had to actually pay because I have an annual park pass, it's still interesting to me that you didn't have to. And especially when the preservation of these trees is, well, what is paramount to this being a park. Making a business out of it so that they could preserve the park would make sense. I didn't design it, and I'm not complaining about not having to pay. It's just for as many people as it must attract. It seems awkward that they wouldn't take money. And I get that it's also a state park, and generally, not always, depending on state, and I'm not sure how California handles it, but most states, if you're a state resident, then you don't have to pay to get into state parks. And you get a discounted rate for camping in your home state. But I don't know, like I said, I don't know how California handles it. And the size of a clover. It's also a national park, so that probably gets weird, but hopefully they get enough revenue so that they can continue to expand this park and the protection of these trees. Here's something that maybe puts it into perspective. You can see the car down there from where the road is down there, and that is how much higher I am in elevation. Now, normal trees, I would be at the point where they're at their top, but in this case, they're still way up there. So perhaps that'll help with perspective. No, the ones that are closed are still higher in elevation than the ones at the bottom. But if you're following, say, that one that's dead and lost its top, that's still higher than I am by about 75 feet or so. And because redwood are a species of pine, I find it entertaining that they are different from many other species of pine. Depending on what kind of pine you're looking at, some of them do not allow other species of tree to grow near them. Clearly, redwood are not like that, as there are many kinds of deciduous trees. In fact, I think that's even a maple that is covered in some sort of algae, some sort of moss. And there are fern all over the ground and moss, and that I'm sure some of that actually comes with just the environment. But unlike some other pine that drop needles that change the pH level in the ground, and these might do that, and these plants have just grown and evolved into dealing with it. Or it could be that these trees actually see the ecosystem, because I am one that believes that plant life communicates, and that is how they manage to survive in a coexistent environment. No, they do not communicate like we do, but they do communicate. And if you watch some of my other videos where some trees have different personalities, then, well, you know what I'm talking about. And then there's another bridge here. I crossed one bridge and didn't film it because the water that went under looked really good from one side and not from the other, and it wasn't an angle that I could get a good shot at. I feel like I might have to take a poop, and I don't have anything with me to wipe with. This might be another one that I hear water, but I cannot see it. Maybe I can see it over here. It looks wet down there, but I really don't see water. Alright, so this so far has been Big Tree to Cathedral to South Fork, and now I'm on Rhododendron. And from there, I'm probably going to head back to parking, because I've been out for about an hour now. And it's about 5 o'clock. And I'm still heading further away from where I parked. Sunset's at about 8 o'clock. But I don't want to be getting back to the car at sunset, because against my better nature, I do not have a dedicated flashlight. All I have is my phone. I do have a charger battery for my phone, but I didn't bring the cord because I left it in the car. So, and yeah, I'm huffing and puffing because I am climbing an elevation, and I was already at fairly high elevation when I started this. So the air is thinner up here, and that's part of how these trees are able to grow, because this is their ideal environment. And I have to imagine that they have figured out something for them, because they're not terribly different than other trees. Wow, look at the size of that burl. They're not terribly different than other trees. Huff puff. But they are the oldest species of anything known to man that lives on this planet. Which is miraculous. Huff puff. Don't mind my huffing and puffing, but this rhododendron trail is fairly involved, in that there's a lot of elevation gain. And me, the last days I had off was in New Jersey, which, yeah, I did do some more active things than I do on a regular basis, but I wouldn't say that a night of binge drinking necessarily prepared me for strenuous hiking. No, this isn't the most strenuous hiking that I've done. Yes, my knee seems to be in good shape, but I haven't gone as much distance as I did at, say, Zion or the Grand Canyon. And I haven't gone down at all, so I don't know about that one yet. I mean, little bits, like while I'm talking to you, I'm going down. But I definitely haven't gone down as much as I've gone up. And going up is not as strenuous on your knees. Although crouching underneath of some of these fallen trees, I guess could be considered such. But I had found another map on the trail, kind of a good thing because I didn't bring the map that I was given. Because I guess my intention was to get lost. But I found the map and I sat down and looked at it. And what I'm doing now, other than to get to walk through those, because they grow in these clusters. What I'm doing now is heading to the Brown Creek Trail, where I'm going to start heading back. Because, well, I'm a couple miles from the car now. And the way it's kind of set up, yeah, you can do little loops, because there's a lot of ones that like cut through to the outside loops. And this is one of the outside loops. But the way it's set up, you can just keep going. Although the loop that I would be on if I kept going, part of it's closed down because of fallen trees, which is somewhat understandable because this fallen tree here is not huge, but some of them are. Like when that one falls, I doubt it'll fall on the trail because of the way that it's leaning. However, it may fall on a different part of the trail because they're hundreds of feet tall. So I'll get back to you when I get to that Brown Creek. All right, so here I am on the Brown Creek Trail. I had met a group of people who are going back more or less the way that I came. The sign that I just showed is showing that it says the bridge is unsafe. And I am taking my chances because, well, I'm looking at the side of this here, which you're not going to see too much of it because of all the foliage. But that reminds me of Catterskill Falls with Jerry Wooten. And so if that's something I have to deal with for an unsafe bridge, I know I'm beyond capable because I've done it before. And I don't find that this kind of hiking is more strenuous than anything that I've done even in recent years. Like, it's not nearly as challenging as the Angel's Landing Trail that I sadly didn't finish, but I got through the challenging parts. This area was donated by Ekel's Foundation. Somehow I don't think that this area was donated at all. Perhaps they cut that tree so that you could sit on it as a bench, but this area, being the land that I'm standing on, was not donated by anyone. It was created with the earth, and these trees may have gone back to the Jurassic era. Some of the ones, well, not the ones here because they don't live quite that long. Here is the unsafe bridge, and that is not anything to worry about. It may take both hands for balance, but I gotta stand to catch my breath too, really. It's about 6:15. I've been at this for about 2.5 hours now. And I am headed back toward the road where I'm going to take the Prairie Creek Trail to get back to the car. And then I'm going to start looking for where I want to sleep. Thankfully, the visitor center was able to give me a few places where I can park the car to sleep. And he also told me a place where I could get a motel if I want to. I'm going to kind of poke around and see, what's worthwhile. He did say a rest stop, which I sleep at rest stops most of the time, so I may or may not do that. I didn't pack to sleep on the trail, but that is an option here. I should have, but didn't really think about it. And that's another one of those big slugs. So far I've seen about a half dozen of them. They're, don't want to say all over the place, there's quite a few of them. Look at the size of that burl. Look at the size of that tree. Which is why I'm here, right? Okay, now I'm on the Foothills Trail. The sign that I saw said about a mile and a half back to the big tree, which is the one I skipped from the video, so I'll probably pick it up. And that's right by where I parked. I mean, there's a few feet from where I parked, but I'll know where I am. And there was a couple instances where I wasn't entirely sure because of the way the trail markers were, and some of them were missing in cases of splits, which if the trail splits, they should at least use, you know, conventional trail markers where it's a color or something. As far as trash, so far I've picked up a map, and I picked up a flag that I think was flagged for somewhere that they needed to cut a tree, but they already cut the tree and they left the flag there. So I picked that up, and it'll find where it's supposed to be. As interesting as this is, I feel like I've been here. Certainly looks like it. Well, it happened on the trail. I tried to hold it, but I couldn't. And no, I'm not going to give you guys a picture this time like I did at the Passaic Gorge, but we'll just say it came out like a redwood tree trunk, even though it was a little green. But that might have had something to do with the eggplant parmesan that I had yesterday. That was delicious at Carlene's in Redding. I'll probably head back there actually before I go back to work, because that food was great, and I left there actually with a buzz, because the bartender, no, I didn't drink, but the bartender was very nice and talking, and it you know, it just felt good. We had a lot of relatable things, so I'll probably head back in there because I enjoyed it. But now my butt feels funny because there isn't many deciduous trees, and I didn't have any immediately near me, and I didn't bring anything to do that with. But I did bring some bananas in case my blood sugar felt like it was going low. So, and that's good because I'm going to need those bananas, because now that I've went, I'm going to lose energy, and I still got about a mile. But my point is, I used a banana peel, and I discovered that the outside of the banana peel doesn't work very well, but the inside of the banana peel does, but it's kind of squishy and wet. So that gives you an idea where I'm at. And there we are, back in my rental car. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you want to see my other adventures and trips, you can check out that playlist there. Or if you want to see my drone flights, you can check out that playlist there. As always, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I want you to like the video, subscribe, and remember, I wouldn't do this without you. I'll see all my friends in my next video.